somebody who, without any weapon of destruction, is able to get up and face the situation, strength, such people really are brave and strong people. Okay, so therefore, it is for one's well-being and peace, and for the well-being and peace, by changing one's own attitude, internal. So much so that gradually, even if it is turbulent, you will still be able to maintain that. You will still be able to genuinely help others because you yourself is strong and calm and peaceful. If you yourself is mentally disturbed, peace of other people. Just a person who is being washed away in a water, in a very powerful water, how can that person help others who is drowning? Unless you know this, how can you help that others? So similarly, we cannot help others unless we are able to help others, help oneself. So help oneself means that we all want happiness, do not want suffering. And we have every right to take care of ourselves. And in fact, I play with this word. Very mean we separate our ways. Then nobody says, "Bye, I will take care of it." This is not a Buddhist phrase. This is a phrase that we use based on our common sense. And Buddha was actually saying the same thing. Self is the protector of the self. He's just saying that, "Bye, take care." Because at the end of the day, unless you take care of yourself, nobody can take care of you. In the true sense of the term. Not necessarily the other people are bad, but because there is a limitation others can do to you unless you help yourself. So if you cultivate this proper frame of the mind, gradually you will reach a state where the external turbulences, problems, and difficulties cannot disturb your mind. How? Because you know the reality. Because you know the reality. Before you did not know the reality, therefore unnecessarily you are suffering. Let me give you an example. Let me give you an example because you're looking at me. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So, for example, say death of a family member. When one of your family member dies, you sing in sadness, despair, helplessness. You cry, you weep, you shout, you complain. We do this all the time, yeah? Or let me take a more easier example. If you're visiting some other family, then the child in that family drops that nice cup on the floor and breaks the cup into pieces. Then you as a guest, visitor, having, what will you say when the father or mother of their family starts scolding the child? You stupid child, careless child, now you broke this beautiful cup. You as a visiting guest, no, don't scold him. These things happen. don't we say things like that? So we have some understanding. Not deep down, but we have not deep down feeling, no conviction, not much conviction, but have the idea. But in your own family, when your child breaks the cup, do you say that these things happen? The cup is already broken. Even if you want to teach that child, you can teach him gently. These things happen. But in the future, be careful. You will understand. There's no need to get mad. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. We are good in like telling others, but very bad in practicing by oneself. So similarly, in your own family, if somebody dies, then as I said, you will cry, weep, and feel very sad. But when someone dies in other family, then you say, okay, don't be so sad. These things happen. This is life. See? These things happen. This is life. But when it happens with you, you are not able to tolerate it. Why? Because, as I said, because you do not know the reality. You don't have the conviction about reality. That's why impermanence. Well, how? Let me give you an example how, by understanding the reality, can help solve many of them. Now I know that I'm flying back to India after 2 days. So therefore, I made it sure that my flight is confirmed. And I'm also not feeling sad. Because a long time back, I know that I'm visiting Israel for a short time, over 2 weeks, and then go back to them. So, and my mind is mentally prepared. So therefore, during this more than 4 weeks, 2 weeks time here, I did not made any attempt to buy a house here. Okay, and make more very, very close friendships. Yes, you meet some friends, but did not make a special attempt to make very close friendship with somebody. Because I know I'm going. The advantage of knowing that is one, you make preparation for a happy journey. Your flights are confirmed. You check those things. You make sure that there's no excess baggage. And you make sure that these people that I'm visiting Israel, I'm visiting for a short time, and in many cases just for 2 days, maximum 2 days, 3 days, during the workshop, then they disappear. Even while I'm in Israel, I'm not going to see them, except few, the organizers or others. So therefore, I will make sure that since I'm going to meet these people for a short time, I will be patient, I will be tolerant, I will at least act nice. And he will do the same thing, you see. So there lies the beauty. The beauty. We develop less grasping, less craving, but try to live harmoniously. There lies the beauty. So similarly, if we have understood the fact that we are on this world as a visitor for a short time, we're not here to. So therefore, the Buddha is saying through all this teaching is make sure that your is confirmed. Meaning that you are going, after you die, you are going somewhere. Are you sure where are you going? He's saying, are you sure? Where are you going? Even in this world, when we go from one country to another country, where we meet similar human beings, The language may be slightly different, but we are going to meet same human beings. Still, we need to make a lot of preparation. But now you're going to the next world, about which you have no idea. But you prepare your journey. So therefore, the Buddha's teaching is saying, prepare your journey. Confirm your flight ticket. Make sure where you're going to stay. What are you going to eat? What are you going to wear? And what things like that, you see. So since we are visiting here for a short time, it is wrong to plan as if you are going there permanently. From there on the four misperceptions, which I'll explain later on. Here, you need to survive. You need certain things, but not too much. Not too much, because no, you are not going to live here forever. And the people you are meeting here during this visit, in the form of friends, relatives, they are not going to come with you when you die, and you are not going to go with them when they die. The meeting is like a meeting in the marketplace. It's like really meeting in the marketplace. That you meet, you talk, have a nice cup of tea, and then say bye, take care, bye, take care. Like that. Do not develop grasping. Do not develop craving. Just like meeting people during a travel, be nice. When you're living together, be nice. Be it your husband, be it your wife, be it your sons or children, brothers, sisters. When you're living together, be nice. Similar like how we do when we travel to a different place and meet different people, we try to be nice. Your past karma that today you need to live together as husband, wife, family members, and so forth. So therefore, there is a karmic connection. So be nice. So while you live together, be nice. Help each other sincerely. Don't fight. You live so nicely that on the day when you have to go, you go smiling. You go laughing happily, no crying. As somebody with wisdom said, that when we came into this world, people received us by clapping their hands. You see? Therefore, he says, therefore you should live your life in such a way that when you leave this world, you go laughing, and the people who remain behind start weeping and crying. When you came into this world, people were smiling and welcoming you, and you are very helpless, you are suffering, you came crying, as I said. But when you go, you should go in such a way that you go smiling, happy, and people will feel sad, miss you because you're such a good person. You see? That's what this Buddhist teaching is about. And all this is possible if you reduce your grasping and craving. I need this, 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 I need this. Keep on collecting and accumulating in your house. Even one person has several pairs of shoes, even though he has only 2 legs. And that greed, inherent greed that we have with us, that craving and grasping that we have within us, is further fueled by modern advertisement. because the business people, the modern advertisement, they want to sell their products. So the advertising companies, they will say that you need several pairs of shoes. You need one when you do jogging. You need one when you go to bathroom. You need one when you do the sporting, for sports shoes. Yeah, I'm not trying to be cynical. In some cases, there may be some element, but generally not. For example, one of the advertising company advertises a particular, shampoo or soap or something. Oh, you just buy this one, and your face will completely change. And people just keep on washing. You see. Nothing happens. You see. So therefore, they are taking advantage of your innocence or your vulnerability. People are taking advantage of your weakness. Exactly. So that's why we need to be strong, educated, and decisive to be able to judge. This is really I want. I will have it. Finish. These things I don't want. This the business people or people who simply thinks that everything is for sale. They're able to sell everything because we are weak. Because we buy everything that is in the market. Every day there will be new brands, gadgets, any gadgets, saying that, oh, this camera is a small, nice, but there's a better one here. They change it a little bit. They say, this is, you have to have it. You need to update your gadget. So we think we have shortage of money, but still we think, oh, must be true. You update your gadget. So in this way, external material accumulations are concerned. We keep on updating all the time, spending awful lot of money. Human being never updated. Never updated. The same way of thinking, the same way of living, the same way of acting. Even though on many occasions you know that this I should not be doing, but you keep on doing the same thing. So therefore we keep on suffering. So in many cases, the much of the suffering and problem that we experience is like self-invited problem, self-invited suffering. So therefore, take care. Take care. Your happiness is in your hand. Do not cheat yourself. Your happiness is in your hand. Do not. Does it make sense? That's why I'm saying that if you understand the reality, you will stop doing many of these stupid things. If you understand the reality, then as I said, your family members are just like people you meet in the marketplace. So you will be very nice with them. And when they die, you have no reason to cry. When they die, you have no reason to cry because one, meeting is parting. Right in the beginning, you know that we are together for a short time. You understand that. You understand that reality. And second, having understood that reality, you lived your life in such a way that now you have nothing to regret. When we don't understand this, then we think, okay, my husband has to live with me permanently. My wife has to live with me permanently. So when suddenly the one of them dies, it is a big shock for you because you had that thing of permanence. Now suddenly this one is not permanent. He goes, lives you forever. Then it was unbelievable. You see. Especially in today's world, there's so much pretension. In ancient times, people really lived together, big family lived together. Everybody sees each other, sufferings, problems, happiness. They share together. So everything is experienced. But today, when somebody gets sick, is whisked away into a hospital, and hardly there is a need for you to see. because it has to be, you just have to give money. Then you think that person has been taken care of. Then even after you hardly see, you see. So everything is now, we are living a way of life where we try to hide ourselves, from the reality. We try to close our eye with the reality and pretend that everything is good. You see, everything is good. And therefore, we use so many, in English, we use so many of these exclamations. Wow, so beautiful. Wow, so good. Wow, so wonderful. I mean, in a way, it's good. I'm not trying to be negative. In a way, it's good, but in a way, you focus so much on the superficial things, and you don't want to even talk about the real issue, the issue of aging, the issue of sickness, the issue of death. Many of this, people say, why should it happened with me? Many years back, I was giving a talk in a Christian monastery in Kentucky, Thomas Merton Monastery. So I was giving a talk. There are a lot of people there. So I was again talking about this fundamental truth. And there was a young lady sitting in front with a lot of makeups. She said, why are you talking so much about this suffering? I have no suffering. You see, there's the issue. And I said, good luck. I really said, good luck. If you really think you have no problem, no suffering, that's what we want. So if you are that one, then wonderful, amazing. But I said, if you see a crack in the roof, better you be cautious. It might fall, you see. Yeah. You see? So you cannot pretend. You cannot pretend. You have to face the reality. So once you understand the reality properly, then everything is like a dream. Everything is like a dream. If you get a dream of winning, several billions of dollars, you enjoy, I'm rich overnight. So many billions of dollars. When you're dreaming, you get that feeling. But when you wake up, how much money is there? Nothing. Will you feel terribly sad? Will you feel terribly sad? No. You said no. You said yes. You said yes. No. It's only a dream. No. Yeah. I don't think. You might wish that, I wish that it was not dream. If I had really got it, you might think something like that. But I don't think you will feel terribly sad, because this is a dream. Strong sadness will not be there, because this is a dream. Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Similarly, if you are able to see the whole life as a dream, the whole life as a dream, there's nothing much to gain, nothing much to lose. There will be some sufferings, there will be some happinesses, but it will not bother you much, because there will be not much grasping. Just like your experience of the dream. You don't understand. Exactly, you thought they're like that. But the Buddhist teaching, their life is really, in one sense, it's like a dream and illusion in another sense. Okay? In another sense, for example, now if you are a man or woman of, say, 40 years old, so in the past 40 years of your life, you experienced a lot of things, ups and downs in life. Many times you must have cried and felt sad. Many times you might have, enjoyed and happy. 40 years is a long story. But today, look back, about this 40 years of experience. Isn't it like the last night dream? That's what I'm driving at. That's what I'm saying. And your future life will also go like that. You see? So if you are able to see that there's nothing concrete, independently existing, permanently existing phenomena, that everything comes and goes like in a dream by depending on multiplicity of causes and conditions, then that will reduce your craving, attachment, grasping, and other negative emotions like hatred, anger, jealousy, and so forth. Clear?
So what is the meaning of it?
Yeah?
So what is the meaning of life?
Meaning of happiness. Life is happiness. You see? So that genuine happiness and satisfaction will come when you don't develop excessive grasping, craving, attachment, but simply enjoy the good things that is at your disposal now. That's at your disposal now. Rather than spending most of our life thinking about the past or about the future, if you live now, you will be happy. You will enjoy. But the problem is, most of us spend our life, even now, even though this is the present moment, but most of the thinking that you do is about the past, what you experienced, what happened, who said what, Your mind is filled up with what is gone. And then you may be thinking and planning for the future, I should do this tomorrow, next year. And you are not able to live in the present, enjoy what is there. Therefore, to be fully aware, awake, and conscious of your present life leads to that peace, leads to that happiness. And it is by maintaining that pure awareness that you will also be able to see what will really be good for me in the future. Why should I not hang on to what has happened in the past? So therefore, out of the Four Noble Truths, as I briefly mentioned yesterday, the Buddha started saying that this is true suffering, this is true origin of suffering, this is true cessation, this is the path. I explained that a little bit yesterday. Then on a second level, he said the suffering must be known, true suffering must be known, true suffering must be known. That's the first thing he said. Because if you do not understand the suffering properly, you will not develop a wish to get out of the suffering. I had given you the example yesterday. If somebody is very, very happy with his present family and house, why he or she think about moving and leaving that family and house? So the house like samsara, so long as you think that samsara is perfect, good, why should you think about getting nirvana or liberation? That will never happen to you. So when I talk about finding the sufferings and problems, I'm not saying that intentionally you like fabricate something. I'm talking about finding that real suffering which is there, real lack of satisfaction which is there. So therefore, Buddha was very skillful teacher. Therefore, the first teaching that he gave us on the truth of the suffering. The truth of the suffering with four characteristics. He explained the truth of suffering with four characteristics, four features. The first feature is impermanence. Impermanence. Again, if you relate that to your psychophysical aggregate, to your life, he's saying, he's not talking about, he's not so much the table is impermanent, mountain, yes, they are impermanent. But here, when we talk about that impermanent state, he's really not so much worried about those, or he's really not so much talking about those impermanent things. But he is talking about, as we started, this cycle of impermanent. Impermanent means is dependent on causes and conditions in general. In general, impermanent means anything that is dependent on causes and conditions is called impermanent. And particularly here in this case, with the psychophysical aggregate, it is not only dependent on a cause and condition, but it is dependent on a cause and condition which leads to suffering. So the cause and condition for this psychophysical aggregate is afflictive emotion and contaminated action. See, afflictive emotion and contaminated action, polluted action. Afflictive emotion and contaminated action, negative action. So from there, therefore he's saying impermanence here means that we have a changing life which is changing due to afflictive emotion and contaminated action. That means naturally you will have suffering. So the first feature was impermanence. So you need to understand this very clearly. Your life is changing all the time. And we all know, especially in today, flies, how time flies. It's changing like anything rapidly. You may be making so many plans. You may be making so many plans of less importance, but anytime. Death is definite. Death is definite, unfortunately, for everybody. But the time of death is indefinite. It can come anytime. Maybe tomorrow. If somebody asks that, are you sure you are not going to die today? Everybody will say, no, definitely I will not die. Can you put your signature? Put your signature, but still, deep down, you are not so sure.
Even if I'm sure, I'm not care. Even if I'm sure, I'm not care.
Exactly.
Because if I'm losing, I know anyway.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
I want to be here to pay for it.
Exactly. So you might put your sign, but in your mind, you're not sure, you're not confident. Nobody can be confident about this. So what has to do with our life? This has to do with our life because we have obtained as a human life is not something that you can easily ignore. This life is precious. According to Buddhist teaching, you don't achieve such a life again and again. So you cannot afford to waste this precious moment, precious life. That's what the Buddhist teaching is saying. For just running after, small things which are insignificant. Yes, I understand that we all need to do something for our livelihood, but there are many things that we are doing which may also not have much to do with our livelihood, but simply we are doing because others are doing, which may not have much significance, much importance. But we spend much time going after these small errands, as we say, not doing the big thing. The big thing means buying the ticket, confirming it. Since you are going to die and death is uncertain, what is it that is best when you take that journey? When you die and go to this unknown area, unknown land. Is there help you? No. Can your friends help you? Who will help you? Huh?
Yourself.
Exactly. Yourself. How? By making your mind habituated with love, habituated with compassion, habituated wisdom. When you have this inner tranquility, inner wisdom, inner insight, you will be absolutely fine now, and you will be absolutely fine at the time of death and also in the next journey. This is important, very important, because most of us who don't understand this, the importance of involving the mind, even when we do this practice, we do it primarily physically, verbally, not so much mentally. Doing practice physically, verbally, like around the temple, chanting some, this is easy. You also feel like doing it because other people can see that you are a great practitioner, going around the temple, not talking and chanting. So you always wanted to do something which is not going to help you in the long run, but I call it feel-good practices, feel-good practices. But now you can clearly see the one that will really help you in your long journey in the future is if you had made a difference in your mental attitude. If you had made your mind habituated with positive ways of thinking. In Buddhist, one of the terms that is used in Buddhism is that you must leave a positive imprint on your mind. Leave a positive imprint on your mind means make your mind habituated with this positive ways of thinking, like loving kindness, compassion, and wisdom. If your mind is habituated with that, the mind does whatever is, it is habit. Right now, our habit is so negative emotions. Despite our wanting to become better and good, the die-hard habit does not leave us. We think we are the boss, we are controlling our life, but actually your habit is controlling you. Your habit is controlling you because you are so much deep into the habit. You're so much conditioned. People had done experiment with these things, not only Buddhism, but scientists, psychologists, and others have done experiment with these things. And interestingly, they found that you are so used with your habit, the people sometimes when they're asked to come out of a place or situation where there's a lot of suffering to another place where there's less suffering, still many will be reluctant to come. They're so habituated with that particular situation. Even if it is, a lot of conflict, a lot of problems, still it is something they are used to it. So they feel they don't like to lose that kind of atmosphere. You see? So therefore, undergoing Buddhist practice means to lessen this negative ways of life and habit, and to get habituated with positive ways of life and thinking. Meditation means habituation. Meditation is not sitting in a corner, closing your eye. That's what most of the people do today. Many people do meditation. Today, the word meditation is very, very famous. People are so attracted. Now, there's another word called mindfulness. Everybody's talking about mindfulness. If you have mindfulness, all problems can be solved. Unfortunately, not properly understanding. Like in the case of the word meditation, meditation is not something that you should be doing just by closing your eye and watching your breath, you see. That's not This is one part, a small part of meditation, but notice the big picture. Now, in many developed countries, people work very hard in the whole day, and because having worked so hard in the whole day, they are tired, of course, at the end of the day. But now there are so many Dharma centers. So in the evening, they go to a Dharma center and do this so-called meditation. Because they have been working, then when they start doing that so-called meditation, they take a nap. They fall asleep. And the meditation finishes, wake up and saying, wow, the meditation is so relaxing. That is not meditation. You've been working the whole day, you are tired, now you got an opportunity to relax and sleep. So it's relaxing in that sense. That kind of relaxation can be obtained by any other form, kinds of sleeping. If you look at this word, concentration, one-pointed concentration, and the teacher will tell you, okay, choose this flower and concentrate on it. There's a technique to bring the energy of your mind together. But the big idea behind that technique is so that gradually you are able to concentrate on the overwhelming suffering and problems that you have. That's the big idea. If you are somebody who has really that big understanding of the suffering, the overwhelming suffering and problems, naturally it will do suffering, this problem. Like for example, if my head is on fire, my head is on fire. When you see that my head is on fire, and if you say, Geshe, your head is on fire, I would immediately, without a second thought, concentrate in solving this problem, in extinguishing that fire. I will not say, okay, let me first finish the Four Noble Truth, then I will put off my fire. I will not say that. Because now you see the urgency of the problem, that it must be addressed. So concentration means that having understood the sufferings and problems is overwhelming. Naturally, if you see that, concentration will come automatically. But right now, that concentration will never come in our case, because we have not seen the sufferings and problems. We get some superficial glimpses of the suffering, and when we talk, you think, yes. But deep down, you don't have that. Take the example of a person who is in imprisonment and who is repeatedly tortured. That person's mind will be day and night thinking about how I can come out of this prison. Do we have that mind to come out of samsara today? No, because deep down, you are saying, so far, samsara is not bad place. It's quite good, okay. You see? So you will never make that preparation and plan to come out of it. So therefore, it is important to get the long-lasting peace. It is important to find out our present limitations, problems, and so forth. And then by that understanding, we will be able to take those steps strongly and fervently to get that long-lasting peace and happiness. So you can clearly see that that possibility to have long-lasting peace and happiness is very much there in your hand. So Buddha was therefore not pessimistic. He was saying that just as you wanted to have long-lasting peace and happiness, you have the capacity. And in fact, he's saying that the fact that you have this wish to have long-lasting peace and happiness as an inborn quality shows that it is possible. That's a very good indicator. This is a very good indicator And this wish to have long-lasting peace and happiness as an inborn quality shows that you can get that highest happiness in the form of Buddhahood or whatever you want to call it. So the capacity, the potential is there with all of us, and we call that Buddha nature. And in Buddhism, we say we all have the Buddha nature. So Buddha nature means that clear light mind, the clear light mind, which can be, which can become the mind of the Buddha, the enlightened mind. So therefore, the other day I said, suffering is the introduction to happiness. Suffering is the introduction to happiness in that sense. So right now the problem is just like small kids, just like small kids. The Buddhas, they call us, they also address us, children. I think we intelligent professors, but the Buddhas, they address us by saying, my children. So in their perspective, we are like small children, making stupid mistakes all the time. You see, just like in Arya, there was 400 verses. He gave an example of small kids playing by the seaside, sea beach, building sand castles. Okay. So one child builds a big sand castle. Another child comes, another naughty child comes and gives a kick and destroys the sand castle. And this boy or girl who constructed that sand castle, he will cry as if a real castle has been destroyed. But the grown-up people know that this is a sand castle, not the real castle. So we go there and say, this is just a toy, Don't cry. I'll give you a better one. So you will buy a toy or things like that. So Buddha is saying the same thing. Just as you have told children, innocent children, similarly the Buddha is saying things that you are constructing in this world. It's just like the kids building sand castle. And when something, some destruction, something happens, you cry. It's also like the crying of those innocent children because you have not understood the impermanent nature of these things. You have not understood that they are not the real long-lasting source of peace and happiness. Therefore, you cry over small things. You fight over small things. You don't have the bigger picture. If you have the bigger picture, then nobody would kill each other. As Shanti is the way of life. You don't have to kill people, they will die. You don't have to kill people, they will die. But those of us who don't understand now how much killing is happening in today's world, you see? How much killing is happening in today's world. So therefore, what I'm saying is, all the wrongdoings that we are committing is because of ignorance. So therefore, the Buddha taught about these 4 features of the truth of the suffering: impermanence, suffering, and emptiness or voidness, and selflessness, because we have strong 4 misperceptions. The 4 misperceptions are: what is impermanent? We are seeing that as permanent. Okay? If I ask you, are you going to live forever? Of course, you will say, no, I'm not going to live forever. But in your regular, unquestioning life, you will live and act as if you are going to live forever. There is this grasping of permanence. So therefore, this is a misperception. This is a misperception. Therefore, you fear death. Because you have this misperception. I'm going to live forever. Even if you ask a man of, say, 90 years old, then are you going to die? Of course, he will say, yes, I'm going to die. I'm 90 years old, very old. Are you going to die tonight? Maybe not tonight. That is called grasping of permanence. You see? So that goes. And if you plan to live permanently, of course, you need so many things. You need this, you need that, that. In the ancient times, the kings have built fort. Have you visited the Great China Wall? Have you visited? I visited. I visited long time back. So they built this Great China Wall, which is really like wall going from one mountain to another, several ranges of mountain. And by constructing that wall, how many thousands of people lost their life. It is a huge, when you go on the wall, it's like the road, big road. It has now become a touristic place, you see. So why they built this? To protect themselves from the enemy. But they thought, I'll build this and I will live. I will live, you see. Forever. If you ask them, of course, they will say, no, not forever. But to their unquestioning mind, they've been thinking that I'm going to live forever. The forts. We have a fort very near to Dharamsala, which is called Kangra Fort. So there also they have the walls. And then in between the walls, they have this small hall where you can easily shoot the enemy. So you shoot the enemy, kill the enemy, but you're going to live forever. But now, most of these forts are ruins. So in Buddhism, we say these are the great teachers of impermanence. You see? And then in our own life, we know so many people who died. We can remember their faces. We can write their names. It has happened with us. But has it occurred to us that next may be your turn? Not me. You might think about that just for a few days, because what you are going to experience when others experience you feel uncomfortable, you see. But then after a few days, you forget all those things. Then you return to the same old familiar world. You see, that's the problem. Not being able to remember these realities all the time. If you remember these realities all the time, you will be much better and happier, mentally much prepared. So therefore, it is because of this perception towards, and especially to yourself, that you are going to live forever. There is this grasping of permanence. Therefore, as an antidote to this, the Buddha taught impermanence. The first teaching that the Buddha gave us on impermanence. The last teaching that the Buddha gave us on impermanence. Because if you are unable to precisely see this fleeting, transient, impermanent nature, you are not going to make a move. If you don't have this understanding that very soon you may have to make that journey, you will never make the preparations. So therefore, this understanding of impermanence is a really key thing. And impermanence does not only mean death and destruction. Impermanence also means the possibility to change. And the change itself, that means to change and become better. To make an effort here, to accumulate the needed positive causes and conditions and get better peace and better happiness. So impermanence does not mean just death and destruction. It's sometimes I call it impermanence means flexibility. You see, there's room for improvement. And then we have this second misperception where we tend to see what is suffering as happiness. What is suffering as happiness? What is suffering, we misperceive that as happiness. You will be shocked to understand, you will be shocked to hear this. For example, say eating very delicious food. Eating a very delicious food. Happiness, yes. But how much you can eat? Because the food is delicious. I have here. Yeah. So if you eat more, then you will experience law of, in economics it is called law of marginal utility. Law of marginal utility. Because if you eat more, then you will start vomiting. That's the meaning. Seeing suffering as happiness. Those ways of life which will gradually lead to bigger suffering, you are seeing that as happiness. When we talk about suffering, explained yesterday, we talk about three types of sufferings. Suffering of conditioned suffering. Suffering to some extent we may understand. You may not see that as happiness. But when you go deeper to the other two, then you will find that what leads to suffering, you have seen it as happiness. For example, marriage. I marry this person, I'll be happy. How long does it last? In many cases, especially the more developed countries, now more divorces are there, leading to suffering, leading to problems. Even after that, you will not learn. You will marry another person who has slightly different nose, different face, slightly different face, but otherwise the same thing. You see? Thinking that now this time I will definitely have happiness. So you keep on changing your husband, changing your wife, changing your car, changing your house, changing your other relationships, thinking that this time there will be better happiness. Because you are looking in the wrong direction, you will not get that long-lasting happiness. So therefore, what this teaching is basically saying is, if you want long-lasting peace and happiness, then look at those real sources of long-lasting peace and happiness, not to those which will bring suffering in the long run. So this second level, suffering of change, is much more subtler than the first one. So normally we see that as source of peace and happiness. Now when I say this, I'm not saying that Buddha always spoke about suffering and there's no happiness at all. He's not mad, He's in fact enlightened being. So he was saying that yes, you have happiness. You have also suffering. Human life is like what they say, bracketed with suffering, happiness, and so forth, and a mixture of things together. But what he is saying is, this kind of mixture of happiness and suffering, even happiness, kind of contaminated happiness, this kind of happiness, how many times we have experienced in so many past lives? So are you okay with this? He's asking us, are you okay with this? And he's saying that, I thought you said that you want long peace and happiness. If that is the case, then you cannot be satisfied by this mixture of ups and downs, happiness, suffering, crying, laughing. need to look for more reliable, long-lasting peace. And he's saying this because he's saying, if you change your attitude, if you purify your negative emotions, it is possible. For example, take just one example, say anger. If you used to be, just one practice, say anger. If you used to be a very angry, hot-tempered person, then you should see, because of your anger, did you really enjoy your life? I don't think there is any person who right in the morning makes a motivation saying that today I will get angry. Then in the day, in the workplace, because of meeting provocative people or provocative situations, you might get angry. But then at the end of the day, I don't think there will be any people who will say that because I was very angry in the day today, therefore I really enjoyed the day. There's nobody. So best Buddha was telling us that, look, it's not me teaching. You should relate it to your experience. First start with one thing. Therefore he's saying that I know you have so many negative emotions, but first you deal with one negative emotion which has a predominant presence in you. For example, if anger has a predominant presence in you, then you do a lot of research with this one based on your personal experience in the laboratory of your mind, not in the scientific laboratory of instruments, but in the laboratory of your mind. You do this experiment and write down. You can, in fact, write an interesting book probably. You'll become a great writer. How many times you got angry? Recall clearly, vividly, and honestly, what did you do when you got angry? How did you feel emotionally? What did you do physically? What did you say verbally? And what damage and destruction, or even good things? We have to be fair with anger also. So if anything really great has come from anger and destruction also, write that also. So write that book, or at least an article, and see for yourself. Because this Buddhist teaching is a see for yourself teaching. See for yourself whether it's beneficial or not. If not beneficial, just leave it. If it is beneficial, then for your own goodness and peace, you have to adopt it. So you see, you should see for yourself. So then, by doing this kind of research, what do you think you will find?
Results?
Huh?
Results?
No, the anger, whether it's destructive or constructive, I'm sure. But you need to write that down. And then having found on many occasions how destructive this anger has been. It ruined your family, it ruined your health, it destroyed your sleep, it made you ugly, you see. Small things like that, you think, small things. Very easily understandable things. Like all of us wants to be a beautiful woman, a handsome man. So that's why we do a lot of makeup, spend a lot of money, make the hair and put some cosmetics, put some rings, earrings or things like that to look beautiful and handsome. But after having decorated yourself so much, you get angry. Do you now look beautiful? You say very nasty things, nice, and physically you may be kicking, hitting somebody. Does it look nice? We wanted to have long-lasting peace and happiness. We wanted to be good. That's why every day we said good morning, good evening, good afternoon. We wanted to be good. That's why we all got a good name. Everybody tries to get up. The parents give them a good name, you see. So most of us have a good name. But the way we live our life does not match that name. The way we live our life does not match with this expression, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and so forth. You see? So with this kind of personal experiment and research, you can find it's really destructive. And another interesting that I must not forget to mention is that when you hear so much, talking about suffering, now in your case, okay, because you are mentally prepared, but we have not much idea. They say, why Buddhism is talking so much about suffering? But if you look at the modern psychologist journals, you read them, most of the articles in those journals are on suffering, not on happiness. It's not just Buddha. Because if you want to give more happiness, more peace, you need to talk about these problems, these issues. So with this kind of research, with this kind of understanding, if you then having found that anger has always been very destructive, or at least most of the time it has been destructive, then the next step you should take is, now I will do is, I will reduce anger. That's called Buddhist practice. Even if you are not able to do so many things, if you do one thing properly and nicely, for example, if you reduce your anger, you'll already be much happier. And this is exactly what Nagarjuna says in Ratnavali, which he has written to a friend who was his, to a king who was his friend. So he gives all the Buddhist instructions, how to practice the six perfections, how to realize emptiness, how to cultivate bodhicitta, so many things, how to be nice and so forth. Then after having given that elaborate teaching, then somewhere in the end he says, you're a king, you're a very busy man. So I don't think you will be able to practice all this. What I've taught in this book, in this letter to you, even a monk who is sitting in an isolated place just for practice and meditation will not be able to do all of these things. But if you're able to do one thing properly, you will excel, you will shine out. For example, he says, if you do one thing properly, for example, you are a king and you have the capacity to give, to practice generosity, giving the gift, distributing wealth to people who are in need. Even if you're able to do this one practice of generosity, giving properly, you shine out. That's the thing. So not so much talking about all these things, Of course, it is really important. Those of you who are committed to really do this practice step by step, leading to enlightenment, or at least moving towards that direction, then it's important to have a holistic picture and do the systematic practice. But even if you are able to, as I reduce the intensity of one of these negative emotions, you'll be a totally different person. Because all these negative emotions are interlinked, you see, one helping each other. From attachment comes anger, from anger comes other afflictive emotions. So if you are able to deal with one, the next time you will be much better in dealing with many other negative emotions. So what I'm saying is you need to pick up a habit of at least dealing with some of these real problems that you have within you. That is called real practice. Somebody the other day asked me, during one of the workshops, asked me, there's so many practices to do, How can we do all of these practices? Then I answered her by saying that if you're thirsty, you need to drink water, for sure. You need to drink water, for sure. But do you need to drink the whole ocean? So that's it. That's the problem. We don't do even one practice properly. That's why we don't achieve any success anywhere. If you do few of these practices properly, that more easily for many other practices. And you will be able to understand how all these things are interlinked. Therefore, many of the teachings, they say that If you just understand emptiness, you will achieve liberation. And all other practices are for this practice. So they are interlinked. They are interlinked in the sense, because when we talk about the Buddha's teaching, we are talking about the law of nature. Living a life in harmony with the law of nature. Once you understand the law of nature, you see, you have a holistic picture. When you have a holistic picture, you need to know, you will know how to lead a harmonious life with everything in all levels. That means living in harmony with nature. That means living in harmony with other people. That means living in harmony with yourself. If you know one thing, empty, whatever you want to call it, but that is basically talking about law of nature. So once you know the law of nature, as I said the other day, the law of nature clearly tells us that every aspect of law of nature, they survive in harmony, not in disharmony. With this understanding, when you live in, you will be able to live in harmony with other people. What else you need? You will be able to live in harmony with other people. What else you need? You will be able to live in harmony with the nature, the environment. What else you need? Because of that lack of understanding today, we are destroying other people, we are destroying environment, we are destroying ourselves. In that process, we are destroying ourselves. But if you know the law of nature, that it is based on harmony, then you will be in harmony with others, you will be in harmony with the environment, and you will be in harmony with yourself. And your body and mind will be in harmony. Your thought processes will be in harmony. We get all these afflictive emotions because our thought process is not in harmony, it is in disharmony. Your mind is distracted because of attachment, because of anger, because of jealousy. You know, so many bad habits are here. Or if you think about compassion, the Buddha says, if you have one practice in the palm of your hand, you have all the practices in the palm of your hand. And what is that practice? Compassion. And what is compassion? Compassion means how nice if all sentient beings are without suffering. If you genuinely think how nice if all sentient beings are without suffering, and if you are somebody who is genuinely practicing how nice if all sentient beings are without suffering, can you kill? No. Can you engage in corruption? No. Can you exploit? No. Can you rape? No. Can you? That's what the Buddha means. If you have one practice in the palm of your hand, you have all the practices. So that's what I'm saying. That this positive practices, even if you do one positive practice properly, normally you will be doing that with a holistic picture. And once you have the holistic picture, you will see how all these positive practices are linked to each other, supporting towards each other. Yeah.
Talking about negative emotions, I wondered, how do you deal with depression?
Of course, we'll have time to discuss this later on. But depression, now don't think that all solutions are just in Buddhism. That's also wrong, because it may have to do with your physical state also. It may have to do with your environment also. It may have to do with the food you eat also. It may have to do with the changing climate also. Yeah, changing climate. Many people get depression, say in the winter, and especially about the sunset time.
Yes.
You see, people get depression, you see. So therefore, those people who have depression, normally they say you go to beautiful garden with a lot of flowers, where there are a lot of green, things to see. You see, for some people, like eating food which will have a little bit of, I don't know how to call it, uh, probably a little bit of, I don't know how to call it. maybe heat or something, So different foods can also have different effect. Okay. And then it's also important. Enjoy your life. Always enjoy the good things that you have at your disposal. Repeatedly think about the good things at your disposal. And then also it will be useful to be in company with good people who are happy and so gradually then your mind will pick up those habits and there will be less depression. But you are depressed and then you don't go and associate with good people and just sit alone, switch off the light. Then of course, yeah. Any other questions?
Yes.
Yeah.
You mentioned that all our aggregates are contaminated.
Hmm?
You mentioned that all the aggregates,
Yeah, psychophysical.
aggregates,
You said that
are
the
contaminated.
are contamination.
Yeah.
But some of the aggregates include some emotions like compassion
Yeah.
and love. Are they contaminated? How are they contaminated?
Contaminated because even the compassion that you develop may be related to attachment.
They must be connected to it.
Not must be, but not must be, but what I'm saying is in the case of ordinary people, because still we have not eliminated grasping to oneself, grasping to things, craving to things. Because of this, even the spiritual practices is oriented towards name, fame, respect, recognition from other people. You see? So therefore they are contaminated in that sense. Expecting good things in the samsara, in the society, therefore contaminated in that sense. We're not saying it is not good. We're saying it is still it is not perfectly pure. Yeah. Yeah.
I have two questions. One, it's from yesterday.
Mm.
There are three cycles within the Sutra of Turning the Wheel of Dharma.
Mm.
First is when the Buddha said that this is suffering, this is the origin, this is cessation, and this is the path leading to freedom. And then suffering should be known.
Mm.
And so the second cycle, what does it add to the first one? And the third one, what does it mean in the first one? See, what is the meaning in the first one, what it gives, what the realization arises from the first cycle, this is suffering, this the realization should arise from the second one, that suffering should be known.
Because she was first saying that this is suffering. Okay. They said it's not this is suffering. Through proper contemplation, understand personally, suffering should be known in that sense. And then third level, he said, even though suffering is to be known, there's nothing to know, nothing to know. Even though suffering is to be known, but there's nothing to know. Even though suffering is to be known, but when you get completely, there's nothing to know because you've already removed suffering. There's one interpretation. Another interpretation is that even though suffering is to be known, but don't think that there's a suffering which exists independently. So even though suffering is to be known, but there's no suffering to be known which is existing independently. Okay. Break.